Hey everybody, what's going on? I did a video a while back going over artifact storage management and basically how to value an artifact and decide whether or not you should keep it or sell it depending on where you're at in the game. A lot of you really seemed to get something out of that video. A lot of you told me in the comments that you really learned a lot in that video. It was able to help you clean out your storage. I got a lot of really positive feedback on that, and I've had a few requests since then to do one for accessories, so I thought I would go ahead and do one. Now, the good news with accessories is that it's a lot more black and white. It's a lot easier to decide whether or not something is good or whether or not you should sell it. There's a lot less possibilities, and again, it's just a lot easier to tell. So I'm gonna put up a graphic on the screen now that's gonna show you what's possible on an accessory, and I think just that information alone is probably gonna be enough for a lot of you to be able to value your accessories in your storage and decide whether or not you should keep. But I'm also going to talk a little bit about a couple of accessories. We'll go through and pick a few random ones and talk about them and see what we think about them. So, on a ring, you can have flat HP, flat attack, or flat defense as a main stat. You can't have percentage stats as a main stat on any accessories except crit damage on an amulet, which we'll get to in a second. In the substats for a ring, it's the same three things that are possible as a main stat, and then also those three as percentages. So there's 6 possibilities as a substat on a ring. You can't duplicate the main stat. So for example, if you have an HP ring, you're not going to have flat HP in the substats. Same with an attack, whatever. Now you can have HP percentage on an HP ring, and that's where something is going to start to become very, very good, right? In a perfect situation, you have a ring with a main stat, and then you have the percentage version of that substat on the ring. You have the percentage substat to match the main stat. Now that's in a perfect world. That is not to say that an HP ring with an attack percentage substat is not usable or even really good. They certainly can be. And by the time that you're at a point where you're getting that picky with your rings, you probably have a pretty firm grasp on all this anyway. So you're probably not in a situation where you need to learn this stuff, so to speak. You kind of already know it. So like, here's an example of a ring I'm talking about where the substats don't match the main stat at all, but even worst case scenario, this ring is really good. Worst case, we split the rolls and get minimum rolls, and now it's 11% to both of these. We're creeping up on compensating for a whole life or defense set with just this ring. If we get max rolls on one stat, double rolls, then it becomes 18% on HP or defense. And that's a lot more than just a life set or a defense set. So even though the substats don't match the main stat, this is a really good ring, and it's a ring that I'll keep around for a while because we've got HP percentage and defense percentage, and usually when you're trying to bump up one on a champ, you're trying to bump up the other one. So we got really good tank stats on this ring. Someone's going to be able to use it at some point, especially as I go through and start rearranging all my gear and reworking my champs. This ring is probably going to get put to use. So basically, the short answer for how to decide if a ring is good is, does it have percentage substats? That's really it. And then how did they roll? You can find a ring to put on someone if it's got percentage substats, and it's going to benefit them pretty well. So percentage substats on a ring basically equals good. It can of course get better moving forward, and as you push through the game, you'll start to get a little bit more pickier and get a better idea of what types of things you're using and what types of things you should be selling. But generally, if a ring has percentage substats on it, it's going to be pretty usable. That's the short, easy way to approach your rings. Okay. Now on the amulet, it's the same possibilities on the main stat, except now crit damage is possible. You're basically going to treat crit damage amulets the same way we talked about treating speed boots. If you get boots with a main stat, you're just going to, as speed as a main stat, you're just going to keep the boots. If you get an amulet with crit damage as a main stat, you're just going to keep it. And again, by the time you start to get to a point where you can be picky with crit damage amulets, you're going to be far enough in the game that you understand what you should be keeping and not keeping anyway. As far as substats, it's the flat HP, flat attack, flat defense, crit damage, and then accuracy and resistance. Now, accuracy and or resistance in the substats of any amulet make it pretty usable, because any accuracy you can find in your accessories really alleviates the pressure to find it in the artifacts. You really open up some possibilities with your gear, the more of that you can find. So if you get in any amulet that has accuracy, here we got kind of it's kind of unfortunate, but it's crit damage, so I'm still going to keep it. Another crit damage. Is there an example of? All right, here we've got a defense amulet that does have accuracy. A lot of potential for me to get quite a bit of accuracy here on this amulet, so I'm going to keep it around, right? Now, if it was a flat defense amulet with flat attack and flat HP, then I would probably think about selling it, because those aren't as hard to come by as crit damage, it doesn't seem. Not to say it wouldn't be usable. I can be picky because I have a little bit more at my disposal here, but you know, there are champs that could benefit from a defense amulet for sure, and regardless of the substats. But if we're talking about when when accessories are good, accuracy or resistance in your substats is good. Crit damage in your substat, not so much, because if you're looking for crit damage on a champion and you want to get it from an amulet, you want it from a main stat, right? So I guess if you don't have a crit damage amulet and like this one rolled double crit damage, it could be an okay stand-in, but really crit damage is a substat on the amulet, not really something we're interested in most cases. I can't think of a case beyond the one I just mentioned where we're thinking of it on where we would want crit damage in the subs. So accuracy or resistance in the substats of an amulet, it's probably a keeper. Crit damage as a main stat, it's probably a keeper. Beyond that, basically the same stuff that applies to the ring. If the substats match the main stat to some extent, which I would really only be like an HP amulet with the defense substat, or vice versa, because again, there's no percentage substat, so it's not like you can get an HP with HP percentage. So the short, I'm going to try to end each accessory with a short answer that you can take and apply to yours. For the ring, percentage substats. That's really it. Do they have percentage substats? Did they roll well? For the amulet, is it crit damage a main stat? Keep it. Does it have accuracy or resistance in the substats? Keep it. Okay. Moving on to the banner. It's basically, again, flat HP, flat attack, flat defense. Now, accuracy and resistance are possible as main stats. As far as your substats on a banner, same possibilities as a ring and speed. Okay? Same possibilities as a ring and also speed. So, what does that mean? It means, aside from accuracy, resistance, and speed, same principles as a ring exactly. Percentage substats are good. If they match the main stat, even better. Beyond that, accuracy and resistance as a main stat, you're probably just going to keep. When you get to a point where you can be picky with them, you'll be more familiar with how to filter them out. If it has speed in the substats, keep it. Other than that, basically the same principles as a ring. If it's accuracy with speed in the substats, definitely keep it. But here's an example of a really good banner, actually, what my Arbiter is wearing. We have HP as a main stat, we had speed, we had HP percentage. Now the flat defense was here, but really what we're concerned with is the speed and HP. As long as the rolls had gone between these two, this is a fantastic banner, right? We've got a percentage substat that complements the main stat, and we've got speed. Now we got super lucky here and rolled triple speed, which does not happen to me very often, but it happened. So like here we've got an accuracy banner with speed and attack percentage in the subs, and we're getting kind of lucky with the rolls. We're definitely keeping it. Here we've got an attack banner with attack percentage in the subs. We'll probably keep it around. Now, even if it rolled double HP, I may keep it around for a little bit, but I think you can probably be a little bit pickier in that regard with banners than with rings, just because there's so much more potential for a banner to be good. Banners have more opportunities to be good. Here, we've got a resistance banner with each percentage substat, we're for sure going to keep this around, right? Even if it's split all 3 roles, it's still not terrible. And anything beyond splitting all 3 roles is just better and better depending on what champ it ends up on. So for banners, accuracy and resistance main stat, keep it. Speed is a substat, keep it. Otherwise, substats that complement the main stat are very desirable, okay? So that pretty much, I think, sums it up. Like I said, this video definitely doesn't have to be as long as the artifact one because it's a lot more black and white. And I really think this chart that shows you what's possible on each accessory is really going to be beneficial. I think that information alone is really going to open it up a lot for you guys and give you a pretty firm understanding. I think maybe a lot of players just don't know what's possible on an artifact, right? And with there being so many more possibilities on artifacts, you may think it's a lot broader on accessories if you haven't really gotten here and taken a look at them. So hopefully this is helpful to you guys. If it is not, let me know and I will figure out a way to break this down even more. We'll make a longer video out of it and we'll really get in here and see what we can do about simplifying the idea of figuring out if an accessory is good. But I hope this did it. I feel like this should help some of you at least. But again, if I get enough feedback in the comments that you need me to break it down more, I'll figure out a way to break it down more. I'm not opposed to doing that at all. So thank you guys for watching. I do hope it was helpful, and I'll see you next time.